Hello and welcome to the Bald and Beardiful. I'm Bryce
I'm Chris.
and I'm bald.
I'm Beardiful.
I feel like the news we're covering, we've been on it for like 2 weeks because it's the only thing happening.
Well, yeah, that's about right though. Um, for those who are familiar with Arizona and Arizona radio stations, KUPD actually funny enough was talking about this that uh, the NFL has, because the games aren't as entertaining as they used to with all the rule changes and all the penalties and all that other stuff, and that the quality of the game has diminished so much that they've turned WWE with the news headlines and the off-field shenanigans kind of stuff, well, on and off-field. The on and off-field narratives have taken over in order to keep it relevant, right?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense, right? Because it was it's like when if you ever watched professional wrestling, when a good guy flipped to being a heel, oh, it was a big deal, or there was or someone huge went out, they actually got hurt. We don't want that to happen, but they would write in, if somebody got hurt, in practice or working out or outside of the storyline, right? They would write it into the storyline at that point, and that seems to be the trend right now. When Antonio Brown and all of his outbursts, right? We
Right.
never got context beyond his outbursts.
Before we get too far into this news, we need to settle a little something.
Mm,
Yeah, we
yeah.
do.
All
Yeah, we
right. All
do.
right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. I lost. I lost.
You lost the big one. Oh man, you lost the big one. So we had a tie for the picture, and then we
Re-
had to have that carry over.
so
Uh,
let's recap the what the double down bet was, and how before Mason Rudolph's brain injury, he still managed to throw 4 picks.
That was the settler for the for the toe bed here, go representing the gold and black, loving it. Oh man, and I still because we talked about it off the recording, but the wife had no help whatsoever, and I think it kind of shows.
I mean, you definitely got maximum effort on this one from me. You know, as far as the paint job is concerned, I'll be honest though, I thought about going to the nail salon and getting a pedicure and having the ladies do it for me. But then I'm like, but then it'll look really nice, and again, that's not quite right. It just, something about it just didn't feel right. So I was like, all right, fine, I gotta try and do this myself. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, I've literally never done anything like this before. I have no idea if I'm doing this correct. I don't know if there's some sort of prep work that needs to go into it. I'm like, all right, so here it is, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, and close enough.
So well, that one was fun, but we got to talk about why you had to do two. And do you remember why we were doing the funny picture?
Well, that was mine. I came up with the funny picture, funny and or embarrassing picture, and that was from our not so Thursday night, Monday night bet, where we were looking at over under on the
San Francisco Seahawks
yeah,
total
San
score.
Francisco Seahawks, yeah, total score. We did an over under bet, and we both took the over, so we tied, which meant that it carried over to the punishment carried over to the next bet.
Right. A little background on the picture that you're seeing here. So this is actually at Chris's wedding. Reason why we're doing this is because how far was it? Like a 2 years, 3 years before? When did the guy on the left there get married?
Ooh, 4 years
4 years.
before this picture. Yeah, four
So
almost 5 years before this picture.
for some whatever reason, Chris and I were at his wedding and decided to take a picture where we Eiffel Towered him. And from there, it somehow turned into now when the other two of us get married, we would pull the same picture. So Chris was next, and and there's another bet in there that we all made that I'll say in a second. But since Chris is next, we had to get at least one picture of us just Eiffel Towering Chris. And even though he's smiling and having a good time, this is a shameful moment. This is definitely a lot of fun.
I mean, it's only shameful because I feel like if I was going to be double teamed, I could do better.
You keep telling yourself that. A few years before even Pete got married, we had another bet. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was who would end up getting married first, take the plunge, and well, we all knew Pete would go down first. That actually did happen. Or well, actually, technically no. It was between you and him to go down first. I figured. I definitely did not figure that I would be the first one to go, which I was not.
Yeah, I think Pete said I was going to go first, and then himself, then you. I don't fully remember if that's correct or
Something like
not.
it was something like that. We could probably bring him on and talk about it in the next. If yeah, he's probably available next episode. I know he has enough. He has like a headset that he could dial in and talk with us. So
I know. I think you said. What did you say? Do you remember?
I kept flip flopping back and forth between you or him because I figured, the first girl that would regularly touch your downstairs, you would fall head over heels for, and
Touch my cork.
you touch your cork, yes. uh, and therefore, right off into the sunset, Thelma and Louise style,
And
with whatever poor soul that is. And then we actually, part of the actual, I should say, an addition was that we figured that that Pete would actually get a girl knocked up, and it would be more of a shotgun wedding. So we were off on that one.
we were a little off on that one. I, however, was not that far off at all. I mean, technically, I was correct, but not fully correct yet because I am yet to be married. So I was right. Pete was going first. You were going second. And I was going to be last. And I think I was basically doing it mainly because off of age and difference, since you guys are older than I am. So I figured I was going to be last after you two. But Pete just seemed more desperate. So he definitely was going to get married first. And so far, it's been upheld. And once I get married, I expect my winnings. You don't remember what it was, do you?
What is your no? What was it? I don't remember.
It was $50. We bet $50.
Oh,
Of course, I think when I mentioned it to Pete, he had amnesia about the incident.
Hey, I just want you to know. I mean, and I do this because I love you, and I looked it up. Same-sex marriage is legal in Delaware, so you're covered.
No matter how I get married, I still win the bet, so you can't get out of it. We didn't say who we get married to. All right. That's
I'm glad. So for all our listeners out there, all two of them, Bryce is open. If Matt's listening, you still have a chance, buddy.
Matt's married, and unfortunately, Christianity doesn't allow multiple marriages. I looked into it. Let's we should move on to our actual news. We got to keep talking about the Bengals because they're the only ones that have 2 zeros in their score. They've reached 0-0 again since the beginning of the season.
I got nothing to say, man. Like this is they tried to go with the trend of the season, which is bring in the backup quarterback, and still managed to lose.
They do have a decent shot today, though. They have a decent shot. They're going up against the Steelers. The Steelers aren't doing fantastic. Plus, they're out the number one wide receiver and running back, and I'm pretty sure their quarterback is still shaken up from last week and this past 2 weeks of all of his media attention.
Yeah, I think this game becomes a lot closer with that, but nobody on defense is affected by that, and as long as Pittsburgh's defense can really step up, and I mean really step up, it's gonna be on them to win this game, right? They're going to need to make sure that they create turnovers, that they're disrupting the quarterback. And ultimately, like they've got to while Joe Mixon, like from a fantasy football standpoint, hasn't been like a real big factor. I know because I have him on one of my teams. He's still been consistent, and he is their most consistent uh, offensive weapon. If they can limit Mixon, disrupt the rookie backup quarterback that's now starting, right? Uh,
Right.
that'll keep the Pittsburgh offense short field, and give them plenty of opportunity to score. Now, don't get me wrong; like they're still going to have to take that opportunity um, and run with it, right? "Quote unquote." But without those, those big offensive weapons, I still think they'll be able to work it. But they're going to need that short field in order to be able to uh, to win it. I still think they win it. I think it'll be closer. Because I think they're pissed. Honestly, I think Mason Rudolph is going to be pissed. I think they're just going to take it out on the Bengals. Thoughts, snide remarks, or you just or are you just so in fear that your team is going to be the Bengals' first win?
I'm just waiting to see when you get tired of your own voice.
Never, never going to happen.
Let's talk about the fascinating facts for the day, just because it also kind of goes over into the Steelers. I love talking Steelers news, but I wish it was under better terms, just because of what's going on. Everyone remembers the fight that broke out with 8 seconds left on the clock with the Steelers and Cleveland game. Myles Garret pulling off Rudolph's helmet and hitting him with it. I'm gonna say lightly. He tried to get a good swing at it, but it like bumped him. It wasn't like a huge hit. But now it's come out that Myles Garret says that Rudolph uttered something racist to him, which caused him to rip his helmet off and go full berserker, and then proceed to get tackled and beat up by the offensive line.
I mean, I'd call shenanigans on this. Like, if that actually occurred, like, it was like a Hail Mary, and it was kind of obvious that he was going to try that, knowing how screwed he is. I mean, the fact that he's suspended for the remainder of the season, and it's likely going to carry over into next season, and it's going to be without pay. Um, if that in fact was what happened, especially in today's like socio-political climate, it would have been the first thing that he said. Not apologizing. The franchise doesn't send a letter of apology to Mason Rudolph and the Steelers for what transpired. Immediately, Mason Rudolph gets just barbecued, right? If that was what in fact happened. But he was, yeah, and it's really sad. I think it's sad that that's what it comes to, and that's what we do. When we do something wrong, instead of owning up to it like a man and say, you know what, I lost it, shouldn't have done it, should never have hurt him, or tried to hurt him in that manner. I don't care about, like I said, I don't care about brawls. People get heated, push each other around, smack me on the ash and call me Shirley, whatever, who cares? But you don't try and really hurt someone, and that's exactly what he did.
I know there's two sides to every story, and the unfortunate truth is we're never really going to know what happened, like what caused him to do this. I mean, nothing happens completely unprovoked. Maybe Rudolph accidentally or purposely, it could be either one, put his hand in his helmet to hurt him somehow, or tried to pull his helmet off. Like looking at the footage, it's hard to tell what really went down or really what caused it. So I'm willing to give him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt that maybe something did happen, which is why Rudolph is being fined, because it's never just one person's fault. And both parties are accountable for their actions. Either someone started it, or someone didn't keep their cool enough to let it go, or at least what's the term? Ring the bell on it. I don't know, or like announce it. What's do you know the term I'm looking for?
What are you trying to say?
I don't
No,
know.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
There's a term of you calling someone out on it. Anyway, well, just
yeah,
like
I know what you're trying to say.
yeah, I'm blanking on it, but he basically he could have let it happen and say, hey, he did this, and and politely been like, that's not cool. because there's better ways to go. I think there's better ways to combat bad behavior, or even like things that are that sensitive. I mean, you give them what they want when you lash out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I understand. It's twofold, right? Like, there's two sides to every story. I really don't think just based on everything. I don't. I think that it just got taken too far, and
What I really didn't like when I was reading more about the story was when it went public that Garrett said Rudolph said a racial slur. When he said it to people, which I believe was in like inside of a court or inside of a
it was
more of
during
a meeting,
mediation. Yeah, it was during the
that
the mediation.
that he didn't expect that to go public. He did not want that information to go public. Well, either because it wasn't true, or b because he doesn't want. Hopefully, I would hope that he doesn't want people to see that reason. He doesn't want people to think that a Steelers quarterback would do something like that,
Well, and that I said that
or not
that
even a Steelers quarterback, but like an
a
NFL
quarterback,
quarterback.
anybody.
Yeah,
Well, because it besmirches the everybody, right? But at the
right,
same time, though, like it that kind of plays into, like, I understand he may not have wanted to, but it plays into that whole, like I said, the WWE ness of everything that the NFL does, right? There's more news about the non-football related things in the headlines and the talk about the NFL than anything else. So that was to be expected, right?
right.
Um, that was going to come out. And then, the other great part was all the quote unquote NFL insiders being like, "Yeah, I knew that was what it was, but I had to keep it under wraps because of X, Y, and Z and whatever." I'm like, you didn't know anything because that didn't exist, and your whole job is to have the inside story, and you had nothing on this. And so basically, you're just coming out and going, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I was there, I was there, I knew that was what it was." Like, okay, sure, whatever you say, right? Uh,
All right, let's. I think that's enough about that. We've touched on pretty much everything on both sides. I think we've given it a good balance. Let's end this with our side bet, with the side bet that we talked about in our last episode.
All right. So last side bet, we talked about it off the recording because we couldn't get together before the Thursday night game, so we did it after the recap episode.
We set the terms, so we didn't know what the bet was going to be.
Yeah, we just didn't know what the bet was going to be. So what we decided was number of total touchdowns scored in the Thursday night game, because neither of us took the Thursday night game, between the Colts and the Texans, right? So,
Price is Right rules. Whoever got closest without going over.
which I'm still trying to figure out. Like, I know I said I was hedging my bet, but I'm still not sure as to why I chose 3. There was like zero reason for me to choose 3.
Versus choosing
1,
yeah,
because of Price is Right rules, like
yeah,
because of the
yeah. I
way that
mean,
we.
well, with as high as I put it, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I kind of talked you into it a little bit,
Oh yeah,
which
well,
which
I
I-
might
which
have
I'm a
been
little proud
drinking,
of.
and I would give you that much credit. I think I was drinking at the
I know
time, so.
I know you wouldn't, but it's listen to the recording. You see me talking you up, and you go, all right, yeah, let's go with 3. So you can think whatever you want, but it's already out there. But if you do we want to say what happened? I mean, they can easily look it up.
Yeah, so you lost. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah,
You lost.
yeah,
Thank
I did
God, I
lose.
finally win one.
So I bet 6. He bet 3. It ended up being 4 total touchdowns by both teams. It definitely had the potential to be more. They just couldn't get past. Their defenses were doing pretty well, but the bet ended up being, and the bet before the game started. Loser had to eat a jalapeno.
Habanero. Don't
No,
change it.
no.
Habanero.
It was jalapeno.
It's habanero.
We said jalapeno. You're trying to change it.
No, you can
Making
go
me one
back and
over
listen
on
to the
me.
recording. Okay, fine. You go back and listen to the recording. I'll listen to the recording. It's habanero. Because why would it be a jalapeno? That's not that hot. It's not even worth eating.
Well, I know it's a jalapeno because I went and bought one.
Well,
That's
that's
how
just
I
because
know.
you bought a jalapeno.
This because we talked about
You
it.
could have been making nachos. Like, what does your purchase of a jalapeno have to do with it? It's habanero.
The purchase of it has to do with the fact that we had said jalapeno. Therefore, I went and bought one to cover the bet when we did the recording.
We'll
That's what
we'll
it
we'll
was.
go back and listen to the recording. It's
We don't say it
definitely
on the record. We don't say it on the recording. It was it was an afterthought.
it's habanero. Why would we say jalapeno? We eat jalapenos regularly. Like that's not anything. Habanero, the little orange one.
Yes, I know what a habanero is, but I know we said jalapeno.
No, because I also sent you a picture of a habanero when you lost.
Yes, I saw that, and I thought you were just being stupid.
No, it's habanero. Because that's not even good. The jalapeno is not even worth it.
Yeah, and so is doing your toes and doing a picture. Whatever.
You wanted me to record the whole thing of me like painting my toes? Nobody's gonna watch that.
Oh no, no one's gonna watch that. But I'm saying that so far our punishments have been oddly mild.
Oddly
Hence the
mild.
jalapeno.
Yeah, hence why you were trying to get the jalapeno in there. It's habanero.
It was jalapeno.
It
We'll
was
discuss.
not. It was not.
It doesn't matter for the listeners. One way or another, I will be eating a pepper. We will discuss it more. We're not going to keep arguing for an hour and lose
There
and
is
lose
no argument.
subscribers.
I won. It's a habanero.
You won. You won the bet. You did not win which pepper. Anyway,
Fine. Here, we'll debate. Let's make this easy. We got games going on today.
we do have games going on today.
Let's pick a game, and the winner. This is just a completely on this like off the cuff. The winner gets to choose.
Side bet.
Yeah, side bet gets to choose whether or not it's a jalapeno or a habanero. And jalapeno, it better be like a good size one. I'm talking like at least the size. It has to be bigger than Mike's acorn. And Mike, as in the M and Meach, it has to be bigger than his acorn.
You're going awfully small. All right, then how about this? You pick the game, I'll pick the winner. If I'm right, then I get to pick.
Winner with
I get to do a jalapeno.
Winner with or without points.
Just winner. So pick a tough game. For all of our listeners, we have Tampa Bay versus Falcons. I'm going to say this with the home team being second. So Tampa Bay and Falcons, Denver versus Buffalo, Giants versus Chicago, Pittsburgh versus Bengals, Miami versus Cleveland, Carolina versus New Orleans, Oakland versus Jets, Seahawks versus the Philly, which would be an interesting one, seeing how you and I picked different sides of that one. Detroit versus Washington, Jacksonville versus Tennessee, Dallas versus New England, and Green Bay versus San Francisco. Oh, then a Monday night game of Baltimore and Rams.
Let's go to the Sunday night game. Let's go Packers-Niners.
Packers and Niners at San Francisco. I'll pick San Fran.
Okay.
So San Fran wins. Jalapeno.
Jalapeno, but it needs to be a fat jalapeno. Like
I will like screen time you when I go buy one, and we'll make sure it's a decent one so you can listen to me suffer. I'm not trying to wiggle my way out of a freaking punishment. I want our listeners to come back and hopefully see us, one of us win. I need people to cheer for me. Therefore, they have to have sympathy for me. I know the terms. I know how the media works.
I would have. I just wanted on the record. I would have eaten the habanero.
If especially if the terms were set to habanero, he would have.
I always thought they were habanero. See, this is why it has to go. Everything has to be recorded with you.
And with you, anyway. That's why this is a dual purpose podcast. We're trying to keep each other honest, and us arguing makes it more interesting. All right, you want to do the sign off? Or want me to do the sign off?
No, I got it. So, thank you for joining the Chaser episode. Email us at theballedandbeardiful@gmail.com. Smash the fork out of that like button. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Find us on Facebook. You got anything?
Well, the Facebook is also at The Bald and Beardiful. I think let us share us with your friends. Let them know how great we are. Send them the YouTube link so that way of your favorite episode, maybe they'll get hooked on it too. Until then, we'll see you guys in our next Cover 5 episode.
Olay.